What's going on, folks? Ted from Nerd Immersion here. We're all at the table. You asked for a playtest or a vlog about the playtest of testing out the new expert classes and the One D&D stuff. And you said you'd rather have everybody's perspective at the table. So I said, well, let's give it a shot. So we'll see how it goes, and then leave comments, and we'll go from there. So this is our second session playtesting this. As a quick reference, Celine's obviously the DM. You see that on the screen. Sean is playing a Morton Kanan's Monsters of the Multiverse race with a subclass from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything and the base class from the UA.
Boom.
So Frankenstein of a character.
Yeah, so it's a mixture of all the things, but it's supposed to be compatible, right? So we're testing that. Mm-hmm. Ralph here's got all base 5e, nothing different, so we're giving that a perspective there. And then I'm going 100% full tilt on the playtest. So we had one combat and then just general, RP stuff. So as far as things that came up that are playtest related, one thing that we have seen a couple of times is this whole heroic inspiration concept. Mm-hmm. Rolling a natural 1 gives you inspiration, and also you lose inspiration when you take a long rest. You can't have more than one. So we've all played in the past where people are stacking up, usually with the cards specifically, but you're stacking up inspiration and you're just hoarding that for when you need it. So what are your thoughts on this change to, one, forcing you to expend it because you'll lose it, but also not rewarding failure, but making failure not as bad?
Was it the phrase I heard that I really liked was failing upwards?
Yeah.
You fail up. I really like it. Inspiration used to be hoarded so much, and when you hoard something and never use it, it's effectively not there.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
So this gives you a reason to use it. This is a good change. I'm a fan of this change.
From the DM perspective?
I also like it. As a player, I'm the type of person who is heavy resource management. I don't like to use everything at once. I save it for as long as I can. So this if I was a player, I like this because it makes me feel better about using them. Mm-hmm. I don't feel but what if I need it later?
Yeah, right. Sure.
So I like it. And I really like the where if you already have it, you can give it to somebody else.
Right, yeah.
I really like that aspect of it because it creates more camaraderie amongst the group itself. And spreads the wealth a little bit, and I like failing up because then it's not something that's so just I failed. It still makes it fun for you even if it's going bad. Mm-hmm. So I'm personally a fan.
And as Ralph is the person who rolled the natural 1, and what's interesting to not to just downplay oh my god you rolled horribly. But it wasn't a super critical roll that you rolled the 1 on, but then it ended up being beneficial in the long run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and even technically, I haven't really played a lot of D&D. This is one of the few games that I've gotten to play, and I feel like it's throwing a bowling ball with bumpers on.
Sure, yeah.
I hit the bumpers on the way down, but I still knocked down a pin in the end. So it's kind of like a reward.
It's a great analogy.
I really do think, again, the original playtest that came out a couple months ago was rolling a 20 on any check gave you inspiration, and that almost, I don't know, this feels better because it's the same percentage on the die roll, right? To roll a 20 versus a 1. But the 20 pretty much almost always succeeds anyway, more often than not. So going with the 1 I think is nicer. And then it also is interesting because it has weird play with Halfling, which we never talked about, where if you roll a natural 1, you re-roll 1s. Oh. So you potentially lost out on an inspiration for later by having to re-roll your 1.
Yeah, so it's not you roll the 1, you get the inspiration, but then you use your halfling thing to re-roll
it specifically has language that if that die roll is removed for whatever reason, then it is not, it doesn't count. So if you roll with advantage and you roll a 1 and a 3, it almost kind of sucks to roll that 3 because if I had the 1, at least it could benefit somebody.
Yeah. Interesting.
And another thing, I to your point about the camaraderie piece of it, with the fact that you're kind of forced to use it, it'll be pretty rare that everyone at the table will have it, and then someone will get it, and then it can't go anywhere. I think you're more forced to want to use it more often because it can come up and you can share it around.
And then also, something that I've noticed from our games and from watching a bunch of like D&D shows is that some people roll good and some people roll bad.
Yeah.
Like Ted rolls great. Celine rolls terrible no matter what her dice are. So when, and like, one of my favorite, Murph from the Dimension 20 shows, he just rolls terrible for some reason. So I like that you can fail up. So it kind of mitigates, like if you're a human who rolls terribly, like if you got inspiration in addition every time you rolled a 20, that's excessive.
Oh, that would be, that would be unacceptable.
Yeah.
Ted rolls an ungodly amount of, of natural 20s.
And it, to that point, if you have, whether it's the person, whether it's the dice, whatever it is, it can help. You're still helping the party. If not helping yourself, you're helping the party. So I would agree with that. I like that. The concept, so we talked a lot about, we didn't really use it too much, but guidance, the shift to guidance, it didn't really, actually, it did. It did actually came up in this.
It turned a fail into a pass.
Which I don't know if it would have, just thinking about it versus the old version of guidance, like you went up and it was a split-second decision, I have to do this check. And like, I don't know, if it was an old version of guidance, would you have been like guidance on it? Probably, right? So it's not. I'm just trying to think of the situation of like, okay, well, I can use it because I know I failed versus like preemptively using it. But I do think it when it doesn't slow down the gameplay and it isn't obviously as abusable. The only thing that I would say probably to change to that is maybe since it's a cantrip, but it's once per long rest, maybe like if it doesn't make it succeed, then it doesn't use the usage. For
that would be good.
Then it kind of makes it more cantrippy.
That makes sense.
That kind of sucks that you have to take one of your cantrips for something that you can only use once.
But the new version of cantrips is you can change them out on a long rest. You can swap out your cantrip list on a long rest, just like any other spells.
Fair. Cool.
So, that's part of it, right?
Yeah, I don't know, like, because you can only use it once, right?
You can only, each person can benefit from it once.
So you can cast it as many times as players there are. But, like, do once per person.
Well, I guess characters.
Or characters.
Hypothetically, if we were, in some kind of singing contest.
I thought it was literally, like, you get one.
Yeah,
because I was like, why would you ever use a cantrip for that?
Yeah, only one person can benefit from it per long rest.
Gotcha.
But if it doesn't turn a failure into a success, you still waste it if you give it to that person.
Gotcha.
But the concept was, it's how you all kind of intended to use it anyway. And you're trying to do that but rather than preemptive, it's reactive. 2-weapon fighting, the 2 light weapons, not using up your bonus action. As a rogue, I can say specifically that's great, personally. So it's, it's still hampered by the second one doesn't add the modifier, but the fact that I could attack twice or miss, which happened a couple of times here, miss on the first attack, hit with the second attack, still get the sneak attack damage, and then still also be able to hide is a nice feature. And I think, and they said that was kind of how they always wanted to do it, was to build 2-weapon fighting into the weapon, the light type of the weapon, as opposed to, because that's what it is. If it's a light weapon and you're wielding 2 light weapons, then you can do the extra attack.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else that really came up that were playtest specific. I can't really think of much because there's not too much that happened with Hunter's Mark.
I was going to say, I didn't have to roll concentration checks when I got hit after I cast Hunter's Mark.
That's nice.
So that's a nice, it's just a quality of life thing. I don't love that it still uses spell slots.
No.
It doesn't feel, because it doesn't like pack the punch that smites do, although we don't know what smites are going to be like, right? True. Smites could be changed when eventually we get those classes to see what the playtest is going to be for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of too much else. Any other?
I don't think anything big came up.
No, not this game.
No.
Cool.
All right. Well, there you go, folks. It was just a quick vlog. Again, as more time goes on and characters level up, which again will be a conversation to have. As now we just hit level 4, so we'll be talking about feats and things going into the next episode. So we'll talk about that if that impacts things differently. So anyway, thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, nerds.
Bye, Internet.